It's just a fanfiction, a story written by me, you writer. This has nothing to do with mentioned idol, BTS members, real-life event, behavior or characteristics. Pics, sounds, videos which are used in this video are not mine. Credit goes to rightful owners. But the editing and the storyline is mine. Do not copyright. This is a mature, dark fiction. You have been warned beforehand, read at your own risk. This storyline is having the timeline of 15th century, so expect the characters' mindset like those days. Do not expect the characters to react to certain situations as per today's perspective. Woman beside him. Her head was resting on his shoulder. His one arm was wrapped around her waist and other was holding his sword. He was the kingdom's brave chief commander's first in command, Jungkook. He had tagged along with chief commander various difficult wars. His bravery and loyalty towards the kingdom was no hidden truth from anyone. King had praised him many times. Beside him, the sitting woman was his lover, Levyan. She was the kingdom's prince's personal maid. Her father was a soldier in the king's army. Why, my beloved, is so silent today? Your grace, there is no reason behind it. Don't lie, my lady. I know you for more than 6 months. Your grace, will your parents accept a maid? She couldn't even finish her sentence as he put his index finger on her lips. Don't say that, my love. Don't ever. My parents are going to love you. No one's gonna oppose to our marriage. Just wait for 3 more months. After Prince crown ceremony, I will be free for a few days. We will get married in that meantime. Love, after all, we will have plenty of time to bring our future generation then. A pink hue adored on Ryan's face after hearing his words. Your grace, you are... What I am, love. You are shameless. Looking down, she said. Only for you, my love, only for you, he said, smiling widely. After spending some time together, they went to their respective side of palace. With a smile on her face, Ryan was about to go to her small chamber beside the princess, but met with the prince's trusted man, Yeon. She bowed to him immediately. The prince has summoned you, little maid. Me. Shock was clear on Ryan's face. Do you want the future king to be angry with you and your loved ones? Ryan shook her head while bowing down. Then follow me, little maid. Helplessly, Ryan followed Yeon to Prince's chamber. After entering Prince's chamber, Yeon bowed at him, followed by Ryan. Long live Prince Taehyung. I have brought the prince's personal maid as per your order, Your Highness. Good work, Yeon. Now you may leave. Yeon immediately followed his order. And you, little maid, took off your clothes. After Yeon's departure, the prince said, making Ryan shocked. Your Highness, didn't you hear what I said? Took off your clothes now. I love someone, Your Highness. We are going to get married. Me, the future king, is willing to sleep with a lowlife like you, and instead of being grateful, you are telling me your useless love. You lowlife? Cursing her, he ripped the dress off her body. She was trembling badly that time. Mercy, Your Highness, mercy. Don't do this. I want him only to touch me. Before she could beg more, the prince had slapped her badly, leaving his handprint on her cheek. One more word, low life, and you wouldn't even imagine what I would have done to your so-called loved ones. Saying this, he lashed on her like a merciless hyena, touched her without her consent. Her screams, tears, begging didn't reach to his ears. He used her whole night until he felt fatigue. After that, he left her to this chamber half dead. He didn't even told his men to summon a doctor for her. Why would he, after all? She was just a maid, a lowlife whom he used just to satisfy him. She was meant to do this for the future king. At morning, when the maid came to clean the prince's chamber, she saw Wine lying there lifeless. There wasn't any clothes on her body. Horrified, she called other maid, and by chance Yon was coming there, so he also came to know about Wine's condition. As Yon was the one who brought Wine into Prince's chamber, he felt a little shame seeing Wine's condition, so without waiting for Prince's next order, he summoned a doctor for Wine. After some time, the physician came and treated Wine. She was unconscious for a long time and was told to bed rest for almost a week. Almost 3 days later. In 3 days, Wine couldn't get up from bed. Prince didn't summon her after that night. Yon took care of the matter as per Prince's order, thus King didn't came to know about it. In those 3 days, Wine didn't try to contact Jungkook. Didn't went to their meeting place at night. So tonight, Jungkook thought to visit a chamber. He was at the hallway of a chamber when he heard two maids talking about Prince forcing someone. Initially, he was ignoring it, but he heard Wine's name. He stopped in front of the maids and asked them the full matter. Both were first denying to say anything to him as per Yon's order, but he used his position's power and threatened them to ban from the palace. Being frightened, they told Jungkook everything they knew. After hearing the news, Jungkook felt like ground sleeping under him. He hurriedly went towards Wine's chamber, hoping there must be another Wine they were talking about, not his Wine. But alas, as soon as he entered her chamber, he saw her lying on the bed, sick. Her skin was pale, cheeks lost its charm, her breathing was normal. His lover's soul got scratched by a man, more precisely the prince's evil desire. He took slow steps towards her bed. Upon realizing another person's presence, Wine tried to open her bloody vision, but failed. She again tried and half opened them. With half-opened eyes, she saw her lover bringing his hands towards her cheek to touch her. But before she could feel the warmth of his palm, he brought them back and went out of the room hurriedly. "Do I disgust you now, my love?" She closed her eyes in pain as silent tears made their way. Almost 4 days later. Wine was standing in front of the deep pond while looking into the water. She saw her own reflection in it and turned her face in pain and disgust. Wine's body wasn't fully healed, but she could now come out of the pit. In those 4 days, Jungkook didn't visit her. She couldn't even have the courage to meet her parents. So she came here. Maybe this is the only place now where she could get peace and forget her sufferings. Maybe this is the only way now. With tears in her eyes, she said. Closing her eyes, she was about to jump in the pond. But Vian was standing in front of the deep pond while looking into the water. She saw her own reflection in it and turned her face in pain and disgust. Vine's body wasn't fully healed, but she could now come out of her bed. In these 4 days, Jungkook didn't visit her. She couldn't even have the courage to meet her parents. So she came here. Maybe this is the only place now where she could got peace and forget her sufferings. Maybe this is the only way now. With tears in her eyes, she said to herself. Closing her eyes, she was about to jump in the pond, but someone held her hand and jerked her towards the soil. Both fell on the ground with impact. Are you out of your mind? Vian opened her eyes and looked at the source of the voice. She found her lover, Jeon Jungkook. She looked down and without saying anything freed herself from him and got up. He also got up. She again tried to go near the pond to jump in it, but Jungkook again held her wrist. What are you doing again, Vian? Gently freeing herself from his hand, she said, Your Grace, you shouldn't be here. It is not me who should not be here. It is you who should not be here. So come with me. He again held her wrist and tried to drag her out from here. But she didn't go with him. She tried to free her wrist from him. Stop it, Vian, and come with me. You should stop touching me, Your Grace. Her tone was low as a tear ran down through her eyes. Touching you. Shock was clearly seen in his face. Your Grace, you shouldn't be touching a touched woman like me. It's not vulnerable for you. Not honorable for me. What are you saying, love? I am saying the right thing, Your Grace. After being touched by the crowned prince, I am nothing but a filthy pleasure giver. So, a honorable man like you shouldn't be touching me in daylight. Ryan, you are not filthy. What crap are you talking? Tell me then, weren't you disgusted by me that day, Your Grace? Disgusted? Never, love. I was never. Then why did you leave me that day? Why? Why didn't you visit me in these days knowing very well how much in pain I was? He looked away from her and spoke in a low voice. Because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of myself. I couldn't protect you, my love. I couldn't. When he was forcing you, I was sleeping peacefully. I more tears leapt from her eyes as she heard his broken voice. And you know the worst part? I can never avenge you, Vian. I can never. I have vowed to protect the king and his future ruler. A true knight can never break his vow. Love, never. I can never hurt the one I vow to protect. No matter how wrong he does. I am ashamed, Vian. I truly am. Don't be ashamed. I don't want anything, Your Grace. I just want peace now. And at this point, I am going to get peace only if I am pacified. No, Vian, you are wrong. This is not the solution. This can never be the way to get your peace. This is, Your Grace, this will stop the nightmares I am getting after that night. This will keep the hands away from me. Marry me then, love. Marry me. Then we will leave this place. Your Grace, yes, love, marry me. Then we will go from here and live away from any prince. But your responsibility as a knight, I will quit. Anyways, the life in the castle is very dark and cruel. Let's go from here and live a happy life away from any prince or politics. Our parents, we won't tell them the reason to move to another place. Well looked into his eyes with tear-stained face. He cupped her face. I love you, my lady. Let me be by your side while you journey to find peace. He leaned into his touch while closing her eyes. I love you too, Your Grace, a lot. Next day, looking at Vian, Django said softly, Come, my love. She clutched his arm tightly but didn't go ahead. Don't be afraid. My parents, your parents, don't think of them for now. They will understand our decision later. Come with me, my love, to enter a happy life, to form a peaceful togetherness of our, my love. Hearing his soothing voice, Vine smiled while a lone tear leapt from her eyes. She nodded her head and both went ahead towards the priest. Your Grace, welcome. He bowed at Jungkook. Jungkook nodded at him. Let's start the wedding then. Both groom and bride stand in front of each other. Both did as they were told, and priest started to read holy vows. Jungkook noticed how gorgeous she was looking in her wedding gown. Do you, Sir Jeon Jungkook, take Lady Levyan as your lawfully wedded wife? Hearing the priest, the said man looked into the said woman's eyes. I do. She blushed, seeing him, and looked down while smiling. Do you, Lady Lee Wyan, take Sir Jeon Jungkook as your lawfully wedded husband? Wyan looked up and saw his smiling face. She was about to say, I do, but three arrows came there with so much force and pierced into Jungkook's body, leaving Wyan speechless. Jungkook's lifeless body fell on the ground. The priest was also shot with the arrow, resulting him to pass away. Vine was too shocked to speak. She stood at her place like a statue. Her eyes were wide open. How dare you try to get married, lowlife? A cold growl-like voice was heard by her, but she didn't falter her gaze from Jungkook's lifeless body. The place soon got filled with men with arrows who were bowing their heads in front of the man who just spoke and was wearing royal clothes. The man came in front of Vian and stood between her and Jungkook's lifeless body. This time, she first looked at his feet, then moved her gaze to his face. This was the crowned prince Kim Taehyung, who soon going to be the king. Her lips quivered, seeing him. She took a step back. You filthy lowlife, how dare you try to get married? Once I lay my hands on something, it's become mine. So you are mine, you filthy being. Let's go to my castle, men. He then held her hand and dragged her with him. Her whole body was shaking. The wedding flowers in her hand fell on Jungkook's body while leaving. The crown prince tossed Wagon into the room forcefully. She fell on the ground with the impact. He then went near her and cupped her mouth with his palm in a tight grip. Look, you lowlife, I'm giving you 2 days. In these 2 days, moron for your love, moron for your life, moron for your fate. Do whatever the hell you want. But on the third night, I will come here again. And I don't care if you want this or not. I want to sleep with you again. And I will. So be ready till then. If you won't, then the consequences will be more horrible than the first night. He left her mouth with a jerk. He started to leave the room but halted by the doorstep. Your lover would be buried near the church. As a generous prince, I am giving you the permission to visit him in these 2 days. Go there with my man. Saying this, he then left the room, while let her trembling body touch the wall behind her. She brought her knees close to her chest and hugged herself tightly. A tear leapt from her eyes, then other one. Soon she started to weep like crazy. 2 days later, after finishing his official works, the crown prince was heading towards his new muse chamber. A smirk was present on his face, thinking about her. As soon as he entered her chamber, his eyes widened, seeing the room. His mouth fell open. Definitely, she wasn't expecting this. The room was decorated with beautiful white flowers and candles. The bed was decorated with red rose petals, and there Vivian was sitting on the bed while wearing a very revealing nightgown. The crown prince's breath caught seeing her. She was looking beautiful. Seeing him, she got up from the bed while smiling. She went towards him and stand in front of him after bowing at him. Welcome, Your Highness. Hope you like this. Purred while battling her eyelashes. He placed his palm on her neck in response, but she didn't even flinch. Why this sudden change, lowlife? I thought about this a lot, Your Highness. I can't stop you from doing what you want, so why not make this painless for me, Your Highness? His smirk grew wider hearing her. He grabbed her hairs and she closed her eyes while biting her lower lip. Filthy lowlife. He spat and closed her lips with his. Then he took her to the bed while removing her clothes. 2 months later, the royal court was filled with numerous reputable people, with dancers, as the king was giving his throne to the crown prince. The king placed his crown on Taehyung's head. Today I am so glad to announce you all our new ruler, Kim Taehyung. Clap for our new king. I object, my lord. Everyone looked at the source of the cold voice which held protest. They all gasped, seeing the owner of the voice. Brave Commander Kim Taeyang, what are you saying? I am saying the truth, Your Majesty. I object of this crowning. You can't object now, Commander Taeyang. You yourself gave away your rights on throne to your brother Taeyang. That time I thought Prince Taeyang was worthy of the throne. But now I don't, father. I see myself worthy of the throne. Taeyang, you are now becoming a rogue by saying ill of me, the new king. Is that so? Then let this rock challenge you. Fight with me, Taeyang. Claim your throne again by defeating me. You know, right, Commander Taeyang, what will be the consequences? The defeated one will be pacified. I am well aware of the consequences, my lord. Ask Taeyang the new king if he is ready or not. The crowd started to cheer for a fight. Taeyang smirked, being well aware how the people would always prefer him over his brother because of his numerous war victory. On the other hand, Taeyang's nostrils flared as he boiled in anger. How could his brother, who was always submissive towards him, suddenly demanded a war between them? The growing cheers of crowds didn't help either. The former king had to grant the people's wish if he wanted that or not. I accept your challenge, he said through gritted teeth, and Taeyang looked at their father. The former king nodded. At last the fight began. On the other hand, Wagin was sitting on her bed while resting her head on the wall behind her. She just came back seeing both brothers fighting each other. She didn't stay there to see the results. After all, she, including everyone, knew Taeyang couldn't defeat Taeyang. So today's Kim Taeyang's dead. A laugh escaped Wagin's lips. She was smiling ear to ear, thinking that. Why wouldn't she? After all, she was the one who planned all this. She is the one who planted the seed of envy towards Taeyang in Taeyang's mind. She is the one who poisoned Taeyang's mind towards his brother. She is the one who planted the seed of greed for the king's chair in Taeyang's mind. It wasn't easy at all to achieve this in previous 2 months. She had to go to Commander Taeyang's chamber. She had to make him believe how he was more deserving to become king than his brother. She had to sleep with him. She had to praise him every time. She even had to make sure Taeyang didn't come to know about this. She had to do every nasty politics to achieve her goal. On the day Jungkook passed away, Taeyang gave her 2 days to mourn. But instead of mourning, she vowed to make that prince unseat his throne. She knew she couldn't do this all alone. So she made Taeyang her pawn. She achieved her goal by using him, and again by sleeping with him willingly. She presented herself as a filthy pleasure giver so that they wouldn't suspect her plan. A woman is very dangerous when she is wounded. You took my dignity, my lover's life, Taeyang. Now how's it feeling to be pacified by your own brother who vowed to protect you? She laughed again, a humorous laugh. How's the feeling? How's? Next day. Dressing up in his full royal glory, Taehyung was going to the royal garden. He summoned Wang there to talk to her. After all, she had a big hand in him becoming the king. If she didn't planted the seed of envy, greed, overpride against his brother in him, then he wouldn't be the king. He would have been the same commander who was a lapdog to the king. Obviously, he didn't know at first that all the sweet words of her were just like woods to make ladder for her to climb. After being with her for more than a month, he came to know about the crown prince's obsession towards her, her connection with knight Jungkook. When he understood him being a pawn in her revenge towards Taehyung, it was too late. He was heavily convinced that time that he should be the king, not his brother. So he spared her life. He's still doing that because he wanted to know more about that woman. Taeyang reached the garden where he summoned the Wayan. She was standing near the bush facing them. He went near her and stand behind her. Wayan, as you know, I have won the fight against Taeyang. As so now I am the king. Not just a commander. It's true I have spent many nights with you too, but I can't marry you. So I offered you to become a royal concubine, my concubine. You will have more power than what your maid's post could ever brought you. Smiling a little, Vayan turned towards him and said to him after bowing to him, Your Highness, neither did I ever have hunger for power, nor do I have now. I just wish to live a peaceful life with my husband. Never I wish to be anyone's concubine, Your Highness, not even a royal one. Her body shook and lost its strength, but before she could touch the ground, he held her in his arms. You okay? I am going to be okay, Your Highness. That's when he saw a stream of fell from the corner of his lips. Why? She coughed. Your Highness, bury me beside him, please. Be- beside your previous first command, brave knight Jeon Jungkook. Please. With those words, she breathed her last. He placed his palm on her eyes and closed them. A smirk formed on his lips. Wish you were a princess. I would have loved to have children with your kind of woman who let herself belong to only one person, even after being tainted. Somewhere in a place where earthly mortal beings cannot go, she stood there at one side of the river with glossy eyes and weak smile. Cool breezes were flowing everywhere, and there he stood, at the other side of the river with a smile on his face, stretching his one arm out, inviting his lover to join him.